What is good, YouTube? Quinn Wade, basketball analysis coming to y'all with another video for Tuesday. We're going to talk about the news that everybody found out yesterday. Brett Brown, after 7 seasons, being with the Philadelphia 76ers through the good, the terrible, and the ugly, he was able to see the Sixers become a playoff team for multiple seasons. And even though he did not win the title, he tried and did what he could. It wasn't enough, as Elton Brand had to finally let him go, which we all thought was going to happen anyway. But now it's official. And let's just say we knew it was going to happen and it was coming. You look at Ben Simmons having the injuries that he has had the last 2 years, back problems, knee problems, and everything with Joel Embiid is always a problem because he's missing a game for this, he's missing a game for that, he's not playing for this, not playing for that. And when he does play, he's not as dominant as people make it seem. And year after year, I continually put Joel Embiid outside of my top 10 players because he's not a top 10 player. And he proved it again this season and also in the postseason this year too, which I'm not too much of a surprise. That's why I have him out in my top 10. But Brett Brown had to take the fall, even though he do deserve the blame because he was a big reason why they didn't succeed. He was a big reason why they never got to their full potential. And even though sometimes I wondered what kept Brett Brown in there for a couple more years, was that they figured that he'd get it right? Did they figure that they had to put the right pieces so he can get the right talent to mesh with what he's trying to go out there and do schematically? I don't know. But Elton Brand, which I would say he gave him the benefit of the doubt. He tried the Jimmy Butler team. It came up short. He said, you know what, I'm going to change the roster again and try something different. Brett Brown came up short. And then you wonder, what should Elton Brand do? Start something new. Make a new flame with somebody else. Put the old ones out, move on from them, go in a different direction, and hopefully you can find success from somebody else. Brett Brown, I understand where he comes from. I understand why you don't want to let him go, but he did not get the job done, and that's why you have to find somebody else. A problem to me is finding somebody else and finding what this team is going to be. Is they going to continue to build around Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, which hasn't worked just yet? And they've been doing this for years. Is it trading Joel Embiid or Ben Simmons for somebody else or other pieces that can fit around them? And even if you do that, will you really be a championship team with Joel Embiid as your best player or Ben Simmons? That's the problem that I have. Is the Sam Hinkie. Some people love him, some people hate him, and some people feel like he did a decent job for the time he was there because he did get Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. The problem that I keep telling you guys is Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, can they really be your best player? Can they really lead you to a title as the number one option? And that's what you want out of a number one pick. A franchise changing, a franchise altering player that can get you to the finals, that can get you to the title. And is it really fair? Because they still is young, and they still have room to grow, and they probably could get there. We don't know. But as of right now, them two together is not enough. And they have proved that multiple seasons in a row. So it's not crazy. It's not nothing stupid to doubt them because they haven't done it. And even though I like the fact that Ben Simmons has been evolving, I like the fact that his defense has gotten better. Joel Embiid has got more confidence, especially with his outside game. Both of these guys don't fit together. They don't play well together. And even though they did have success in the regular season together, they haven't really had any dominant, crazy postseason runs. And it just hasn't happened for them. And that's the thing Elton Brand going to have to figure out. Do I want to continue to keep this duo together? Are they better apart? And even if I tear this duo apart, Will we be able to win with one of them as my best player, or do I have to get a better player and pair them with that guy by trading the other? That's going to be difficult just because I don't see any available star that can complement either one of these players to a championship level. Now, you can trade for another star or another all-star to fit with them, but the goal at the end of the day is to tear it down, blow it up, hit the lottery, and try to win the title. And that's something that I haven't seen this Sixers team. They haven't even got to the Eastern Conference Finals. Just to be honest, that's just the truth. So they farther away than what we thought. Obviously, people didn't really know what to make out of the team coming into this year, just because a lot of people thought they'd be the best defensive team. A lot of people thought that the changes that they made, for better or worse, was going to make them interesting, intriguing. And some people just couldn't give up on them until the last minute. And that was them getting eliminated on Sunday. Now people know that they had a fluke season. Yeah, you can say they wasn't healthy, this and that and this and that, but they was never on the same page. They was never really together. They was never really being successful or happy together. And it's best to see them apart most likely, just because their style of play and their games don't really complement each other that well. And honestly, that's going to be the biggest problem with keeping them together. Now, when I'm looking at the coaching, what can you really do to get the best out of the current roster? That's going to be the problem with Elton Brand, because he tinkered with this roster a lot this offseason, and he failed his own goals because the Sixers underachieved the entire season. Even when they was healthy, there was a disappointment. So I don't know what Elton Brand is going to do. You can't just bring in a coach and just hope everything works, because if it doesn't work, you're going to eventually have to tinker with the roster again. So the question is going to be on Elton Brand. Can he figure it out? This is another GM. You go through Sam Hinkie, you go to Colangelo, now you with Elton Brand. The organization, can they figure it out? Because this is a process that has failed. Joel Embiid took his name as the process, and he's been failing as a franchise player, as a leader, and as a dominant force. He hasn't been able to get the job done. And it's just the honest truth. And that's unfortunate, because if that's going to be your best player, that's going to be a problem. And then they question, can you win a championship with a guard that can't shoot? Can you win a championship with a big man as your best player? And the Sixers haven't been able to do either or, and the NBA hasn't done that in years. That's going to be the next question. Is Ben Simmons good enough? Can he be good enough? Can his three-point shot really develop? Or will he have to do all that when Joel Embiid leaves? Can Joel Embiid be efficient from the field? Can he be consistently dominant in the playoffs on the defensive end? He hasn't been able to do that. So it do make you question, should we even keep either one of them? Because they're young, they're great, they're some of the best players in the world. But the goal at the end of the day is to rebuild so you can be a championship team in the future. And this team looks like they're not there yet, and they might be further than a lot of us even want to think about. But year after year, they come up short. Year after year, they disappoint us. And one time, we're going to eventually have to accept reality that this duo is not good enough. They just not what we want them to be, what we think they are. And honestly, it's probably time for us to move on from them and move on for them as a duo. I'm just going to be honest in this video. I love me some Ben Simmons, but we have to see more. I'm not a fan of Joel Embiid and never have been, and he has been proving me right year after year after year. But honestly, he's not the answer either. So I don't know what the Sixers are going to do. I don't know what Elton Brand is going to do, and I don't know what the organization is going to do. But Sam Hinkie had a goal. He had a vision. He wasn't able to follow it through. He wasn't able to see it through. And even though he is one of the biggest reasons why they in this position to where they are today, but for all three of the GMs, the franchise players that they have are built already on this roster, all of them has failed as an entirety because they're not winning the title. And that's the whole point of getting the number one option. That's the whole point of winning the lottery, which they got. The number one pick was Markelle Fultz. They got Jimmy Butler. They got Embiid. They got Simmons. They got Tobias. They got Horford. They got, and they still failed to win the title, and they haven't even got close at all. So Hinkie failed because the process isn't beat. This is the franchise guy. He's not that guy. So he failed because this team is still not even close to winning the title. So to me, the whole organization hasn't got the job done. And honestly, these players only getting older. Their bodies are getting more beat up, more tore up, and worse. And they're going to eventually have to figure out what they're going to do with this whole team because I'm just lost. Brett Brown, I don't think he was the biggest problem, but he was a part of the problem. But I think Embiid is too. Simmons, I don't have too much of a problem with him. I don't really care too much about the shooting because I never looked at Ben Simmons as a number one option in a franchise player. I looked at him as a good player. He's great. He's an all-star. But I never looked at him as the guy that's going to be the number one player on a championship team. I didn't think that. People wanted us to believe that Joel Embiid could be that, and he has proven year after year that he's not either. So he's not the process, and the process has failed. So I think from Sam Hinkie to now, the whole organization has failed, and that's just being honest. But let me know what you guys think. Did they make the right decision firing Brett Brown? Can Joel Embiid really be the number one option on the championship team? Can Ben Simmons become that? And at the end of the day, do you think Elton Brand will be here 2 to 3 years from now, or do you think he will be gone? Because he changed his roster time and time again, and they failed expectations time and time again since he's been there. He's going to get a couple more cracks at it. Hopefully he can figure it out. If not, he's going to be in the same hole as Brett Brown, Sam Hinkie, Colangelo, and everybody else that failed in his organization. Other than that, check out my website, analysisplayground.com. Link will be in the description comment section below. Check out my Facebook page, analysisplayground.com. That will be in the description in the comment section below. Also, I got over 1,000 videos. So you liked this video, you enjoyed it, like, subscribe, share. Liking and sharing allows me to reach more people. The more people I reach, the bigger I can get, the more I can grow. And that's a small thing you can do because the videos are free and I make them every day. So if you love that, check out my older videos and subscribe. Other than that, I got merchandise in my comment section on my spread shirt. You can also message me on Facebook and get your color your shirt, color your logo, change the color, and I can get it shipped out the way you want. Other than that, I ain't got much to say. We all know how the Sixers have disappointed. We all know how the Sixers have failed. And now we're going to have to see what Elton Brand and his organization is going to do to get this team to what the whole purpose was to do, and that was to win a championship for the Philadelphia city, the state, and the fans. They haven't done that yet. And they actually are further than what a lot of people think. But they got time to figure it out, so we'll see if they do. Quinn Wade, Basketball Analysis, I'm gone.